Chrysler power up to the PlayStation Indies PSN sale. This is a huge sale with a load of games to go through, but don't worry, I've done all of the hard work for you and found some really cool games for you to play, and you can even save a load of money as well. So if you like the idea of finding really cool games to play and saving yourself a lot of money, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe. You're welcome here anytime. Okay, this sale ends on the 19th of February, so that'll be your last day to pick up these deals. Let's look at the games. First up, we have Agelos. It was released in 2019, so it's 6 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £3.24, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty decent price for a really cool retro game. In this ARPG, the peaceful kingdom of Lumen has been invaded by beings from another dimension, hurling the realm into chaos as the struggle for survival begins. This game features a range of environments to explore and non-linear exploration as well, so you get to play the game your way and you don't always have to follow the same route, which makes it more interesting for replays. Now, this looks like a really cool game. They make a lot of retro 8-bit looking games these days, but this game looks like a really cool old school ARPG. We get to wander around solving problems and just having a good time really. This was a golden era back in the day, and they don't make a lot of games like this anymore, and this game looks really retro and pretty authentic to the era as well. So if you're a fan of older games like this, maybe like the old Zelda series or the Castlevania games, then you'll really enjoy something like this. It's definitely a blast from the past, but it looks like a really good quality game, and it'll be a lot of fun for people who love that era and really like retro games. And it gives people the chance to experience older gameplay if you don't have access to the older games, which is pretty cool. Why not look at this? It's a newer game, but it plays like an older one, and it'll be a lot of fun for fans of this era. So if you like the sound of that, why not check it out? It might just be the coolest game you've seen in ages. And hey, if you've never played an ARPG before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. You can get bigger, more AAA, more modern games for not too much more than this, which is a better deal. And also, you can get older ones that are legendary for cheaper than this as well, or even at the same price. So you have a load of options, and this one isn't the best one to start with. But hey, if you've played a load of the other games and you want something new, then this is a really cool game at a decent price. So if you're interested, why not take a look? But otherwise, you'll have so many options to choose from that you're better off starting elsewhere instead. We have a remake of one of my favourite Master System games, Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX. It was released in 2021, so it's 4 years old, although the original is way older than that really, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.59, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for a cool old game. Especially as this version is remastered with new HD graphics, retro graphics mode so you can play the original version as well, a boss rush mode, gameplay improvements, new animations, and new levels as well. So you're getting the original game, plus a remaster, and even a ton of new content and improvements as well. So you're getting the original version and the best new modern version as well. So you can't ask for much more really, it's a good deal. In this platformer, Redaxian is under attack, and they need a hero, and you'll just have to do. As Alex Kidd, you must defeat the evil Jankin the Great and his lieutenants to become the hero Redaxian needs. Now, this used to be built into the Master System too. Back in the olden days, if you turned on consoles with no game in them, it had a game built in and it would just load the game without anything in it, which was really cool. And this was one of those games. I had a Master System 2 as a kid, and it's a really good game. It may not be as famous as Sonic or any of the other series like that, but it's a really good quality game, and it's really famous. More in Japan than it was outside. But hey, in Europe the Master System was huge. This is one of the really good platformers from back in those days. So if you're a fan of retro games or old platformers and you've never heard of Alex Kidd or played a Master System game before, then you should definitely take a look at this. Not only do you get the original game, but a really cool modern version as well, which is really great. If you like platformers, and especially retro games, then definitely check this out. It's a hidden gem, and I think you'll really enjoy it if you like the sound of it. And hey, if you've never played a platformer before, then you could definitely start here. It's a legendary series with a lot of history, and you're getting 2 games for the price of 1 really, because you're getting the modern one as well. And it's at a really low price, so you can't ask for much more really. If you've never tried a platformer before, why not take a look at this one? You might just have a great time. Our next game is Alice Gear Aegis Concerto of Simultrix. It was released in 2023, so it's 2 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £4.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal, especially for anime games. A lot of them usually really expensive. In this arena fighter, Vice has taken control of your world, and a group of actresses wielding special battle armor train in simulations, honing their strength in the hope of taking your world back. It features visual novel elements and character customization as well. Now, a lot of anime games have really weird and interesting stories, and this is not an exception at all. It may sound a bit crazy, but if you've played a lot of anime games, or you're a fan of anime in general, then you're probably used to it, so you won't mind. They may be different and unique, but that's what makes the games cool. So if you're looking for something that's a bit different, or you're just a fan of anime games, or arena fighters, then you'll probably really enjoy this. Most people probably don't know about it, but it looks like a cool little game with quite a lot of gameplay and fun in it. Especially if you're into visual novels as well, and you're into the story and the text, then you might really enjoy this. The space combat looks really cool, and the mechs do look pretty interesting. With the customization where you can swap the weapons and all that sort of stuff, it looks pretty decent. So if you're into sci-fi mech battling and you love anime, then why not check this out? You might have a lot of fun, especially if you've never heard about the game before. And hey, if you've never played an arena fighter before, then I'm not sure if I'd start here. There's not a huge amount of arena fighters around, but the legendary ones aren't much different in price than this. But this is a niche anime one, so if you do like the look of it, why not take a chance on it? But otherwise you will have other options, and even legendary ones for about the same price as well. So you could go either way, and you've got plenty of options, wherever you choose. We have a really unique game next, Black Skylands. It was released in 2023, so it's 2 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £3.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good price, as this edition includes the PS4 and PS5 version as well. So whichever one you buy, you get both, which is great. In this sandbox game, you get to become the captain of an airship on a journey for revenge, roaming the skies, gathering resources, and fighting monsters to uncover the secrets of the swarm along the way. It features RPG elements, upgrades, and survival elements as well. Now, this game looks really different and unique. The idea of flying an air blimp in the sandbox world is pretty cool, and the combat looks really good as well, with lots of boarding, ship-to-ship combat, and then top-down shooting combat as well. It just looks like a lot of fun in general to play. And there is a story which isn't supposed to be too bad either. So if you're looking for a really cool top-down and unique game, then why not take a look at this? It's very different and niche, but I think that's one of the biggest selling points. If you like games that are a bit different, but are really fun to play with cool ideas, then you might really enjoy this game. Especially if you like top-down shooters and survival strategy games, where you get to upgrade and survive in a world, then you might really enjoy this. If you like any of what I've said, definitely take a look at it. It just might be the most interesting game you've seen in forever. And hey, if you've never seen a unique little sandbox game like this before, then why not check it out? You're not going to have a lot of competition in this genre, and especially one that's built around airships and these sorts of ideas. It's pretty niche, so there's not much competition, and it's at a decent price as well. So if you're really interested in it, then take a look. But if not, I'm sure it'll be cheaper in future sales at some point. And also, it's not the only unique game around, so you might want to pick up a different one instead, if you're not that keen on this one as well. But don't worry, keep up with the videos, and you won't miss other options when they're on sale next. We have a VR game next, Dick Wild 2. It was released in 2019, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £2.39, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, for non-PS Plus members. This on-rails VR shooter requires Move controllers, so if you don't have them you can't play it, which is really good because in a shooting game you need Move controller support, otherwise what's the point in having it in VR at all? And even better than that, it supports the best VR controller ever made, the AIM controller, so if you've got one of them as well, there's a nice little bonus for you with this game. In this game, the local lakes and ravines have been infected by a toxic outbreak, and it's up to you, either alone or with a friend, to shoot up everything to save the day. It features a variety of weapons to use, 2-player online co-op, and giant enemy bosses as well. So this might be a really cool game to play with a friend, if you've got a friend that has a PSVR 1 as well. Now, you don't see many shooters like this these days. The days of Time Crisis are long gone. But VR has brought them back a bit because it's a really good genre for this sort of game. In VR, these games are way more fun, especially considering you get to aim with your actual hands and guns in a virtual environment. They're so much fun, even in VR, and especially when they're on sale like this. They're pretty good value for money as well. Anyone can try them and play them, there's no motion sickness, and even people that don't play games understand what to do and can have a lot of fun in these games, which makes them great for parties and stuff as well. So either way, if you like this sort of game, where you just like shooting stuff up in VR, or you want a game that's good for newbies or people at parties, or even better than that, if you've got a friend with a PSVR 1 and you both want to play this together, then why not take a look at this? It's a really decent game at a really cool price, with a lot of different options for you as well. So if you're interested at all, why not check it out? It's a really cool game, especially at this price. And hey, if you've never played an on-rails VR shooter before, then you could definitely start here. It's a pretty decent one with a pretty good budget and production values, and on top of that it supports everything as well. You get aim controller support, which is a really good bonus, and it's got multiplayer co-op as well, which you never see in these sorts of games, and that's really good. So if you've got a PSVR 1 and you always wanted to try these sorts of games, then definitely check this one out. It's a really good one at a really good price. You can't go far wrong with it really. It's one of the best ones around, especially on this sale. Our next game is Indivisible. It was released in 2019, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £5.24, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially considering the normal price. In this action RPG, you get to play as Ajna, a fearless, rebellious girl whose life is thrown into chaos when her home is attacked and a mysterious power awakens within her. It features an incarnation system of collectible AI companions that can be summoned in fights as well, making the combat really diverse and a bit different as well, which is pretty cool. Now, I remember when this game came out, it was a pretty big deal because it was a well-produced game with good quality from a little indie team that was really pretty popular at the time. Now, some people say it didn't stand up to test of time, but after the initial launch, the general reviews and all of that are really good. So that usually means it was just overhyped at the time and people had high expectations. And it's well thought of now. So if you're a fan of action RPGs, especially traditional 2D sorts of ones, then why not take a look at this one? It may not be the most AAA game around, but it's a really good quality game that's a lot of fun to play. So if you like these sorts of games, definitely take a look at it. It may not be the most well-known game, but I think it does well, especially when you pick it up on sale. You're getting good quality for your money. So if you like the sound of that, why not take a look at it? It's a really cool game. And hey, if you've never played an action RPG before, then you have so many options in this genre it's hard to say where to start. But probably not here, because you can get much bigger AAA ones for about the same price, or even cheaper sometimes, and even from Legendary series, so you have much better options outside of this. But hey, if you really like the look of this one, then take a look at it. But if not, you'll have so many options to choose from that you'll be spoiled for choice, so don't worry about it. We have an adventure game next, Kona 2 Broom. It was released in 2023, so it's 2 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £4.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good price considering it's not that old. And this version includes the PS4 and PS5 copy as well, so whichever one you buy you get both, which is great. In this game, Detective Fobert returns, trekking deep into northern Canada, stranded in a town devastated by an avalanche, and soon finding you are not alone as you uncover the dark truth of the town known as Broom. Now, the first game, Kona, was pretty well received and people seem to really like it. You can get it on a pretty good deal these days and it's even available in VR. It was that popular that they made another one, and this one seems to have done really well. So if you're into mystery adventures where you get to explore interesting stories in abandoned, weird environments, then you'll probably really enjoy this, especially if you played the first one as a direct sequel, so if you like that, then this is more of that sort of gameplay. So if you're a fan of creepy mystery adventures, then why not take a look at this? Especially if you like the first game and you're a fan of the series, you'll probably really enjoy yourself. So why not check it out if you like the sound of it? And hey, if you've never played an adventure game before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. You can get much bigger AAA ones cheaper than this, and even ones from Legendary series as well. So you're probably much better off starting with one of them instead. But hey, if you're a big fan of the Kona series, or you really like the look of this one, then why not pick it up? It's still a decent game at a really good price. We have a roguelike next, Monstrum. It was released in 2020, so it's 5 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the low price of £2.39, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for a really cool and interesting game. In this game, you're stranded on a procedurally generated cargo ship, being hunted by randomly chosen monsters with different strengths and weaknesses. Can you survive long enough to escape the ship, or are you going to die trying, again and again? Now, roguelikes I'm not that hot on. In general, I think they can be really fun, but it really depends on the specific mechanics of the game and also on the theme of the game. If it's a theme you like and you enjoy the mechanics, then you can have a lot of fun in this sort of gameplay series. So if you're into survival horror games and you like roguelikes, then you should definitely check this out. It's a game you'll probably really enjoy and it's pretty unique. So if you like the sound of that, definitely take a look. You'll probably really like the game if you give it a chance. And hey, if you never played a roguelike before, then you could start here if you really like survival horror and scary sorts of games. But if not, don't worry, there's plenty more different roguelikes around, with lots of different themes, and most of them aren't survival horror sort of games, with scary stuff in them. So if you're not into that, don't worry, there'll be plenty more for you to choose from in other videos, so don't forget to subscribe, and then you won't miss out in future sales. Our next game is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 Ultimate Edition. It was released in 2023, so it's 2 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £12.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially for a game of this quality, with all of the franchises attached, as this edition includes the Season Pass, with 4 extra characters, costumes, and the PS4 and PS5 versions as well, so you're getting both versions of the game, with a load of extra content included, which is great. In this fighter, you get to play as a number of legendary Nickelodeon characters in epic arena battles, featuring a new single-player campaign, gameplay, superpowers, rebalanced combat, and 4-player offline and online multiplayer as well. That makes the game really good for parties and playing with mates, because you can play offline and online. It gives you all of the options, which is really cool. Now, in general, it's basically a Smash Bros. Ripoff, and you don't see a lot of Smash Bros. Games outside of Nintendo, which is surprising really, because Smash Bros. Is such a huge hit. You'd think you'd see a lot more competitors. There's only a handful of them really. But hey, this looks like a pretty decent one, and especially if you're into Nickelodeon, or the characters from it are from your era where you really like them and remember them, then you'll probably have a lot of fun with this. Especially if you get your family or friends together to have a few games, there's a lot of fun to be had with this sort of game. So if you're into this sort of fighting game, then why not check it out? Especially if you like Nickelodeon, you could probably have a lot of fun with it. And hey, if you never played an arena fighter before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting here. It is a pretty good game at a really good discount, but it is still pretty pricey. There's a free one called Brawlhalla you could try out instead, but you do also have a few other options that aren't that pricey either. So if you're not particularly interested in the Nickelodeon characters, keep up with the videos, and then you won't miss the other options when they're on sale next. We have a roguelike horror game next, Paper Cup Mansion. It was released in 2022, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the low price at £2.39, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal for a really different and unique little game. In this roguelike horror, you get to explore a papercraft mansion, floor by floor, as Toby, a police detective, as you seek to unravel the mystery of the mansion by collecting evidence over multiple runs to complete your evidence board, finally solving the puzzle and the mystery. Now, this game is a papercraft game, which is like those sort of collage, sort of arty things that you might have seen around. So the graphics look really cool and different. It's a nice aesthetic, and I think it fits really well with horror. Now, horror games aren't my thing, you should know that by now. But hey, this looks like a really cool and interesting one. So if you're into horror games and roguelike games, and you like the look of these really cool and interesting graphics, then this might just be a really fun game for you. It's a really different game that I think a lot of people will really enjoy. So if you like what you see, definitely take a look. And hey, if you've never played a roguelike horror before, then you could definitely start here. It's a pretty different and unique game, but it's pretty cheap, and it looks like a good quality game for the money. So if you like this sort of thing, or you've always wanted to try a roguelike horror game, then why not take a look at this? It's a pretty good deal for a really interesting game. We have another adventure game next, Sparklight. It was released in 2019, so it's 6 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal for a cool little game. In this adventure, you get to explore the procedurally generated world of Geodia, using an arsenal of guns and gadgets to battle foes in dangerous environments and take down the titans of the mining industry by harnessing the power of Sparklight. And it features 2-player co-op as well, which is really cool, especially if you've got a friend or family member you like playing games with. This might be a great game for you. This is a really cool looking 16-bit adventure. It reminds me kinda like the Game Boy or old school Zelda games a bit, especially the Super Nintendo one, or those sorts of old school ones you used to see on Mega Drive as well, like Story of Thor. So if you grew up in that era, or you're just a fan of retro games, especially the 16-bit era, then you might really like the look of this game. All in all, it's supposed to be a really good quality adventure game, and if you're a fan of old school gameplay, or just old school 16-bit era adventure or RPG games, then you'll really like the look of this, and you'll probably have a lot of fun if you give it a chance. The combat looks great, the graphics look really cool, and I think overall it just screams quality. So if you're a fan of this sort of game, why not take a look at it? I think it's a lot of quality for your money, and people will have a lot of fun with this game. So why not check it out? And hey, if you've never played an adventure game before, then you could start here. It's at a really good price, and if you're into old school retro games, or especially 16-bit sort games, then you'll have a lot of fun with this. So why not check it out if you're interested? It's definitely worth it at this price. Spirit of the North Enhanced Edition is our next game. It was released in 2020, so it's 5 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, as this Enhanced Edition is remastered with 60 FPS and 4K support, which is great. Now, just be aware the PS4 version is also on sale, but it's not the same price as the PS5 version, and there's no upgrade between the two. So, if you want the PS4 version, make sure you pick up the right one, because you're stuck with it. The PS5 one is the best deal, but hey, if you don't have a PS5, then you might want the PS4 one instead. This puzzle adventure is inspired by the landscapes of Iceland, where you get to play as a fox who becomes entwined with the Guardian of the Northern Lights, and must journey through mountains exploring a lost civilization as you delve into ancient Nordic folklore. Now, this game has really good reviews, and for an indie game, it looks pretty high production value. It's got really cool 3D graphics, and it just looks like a really nice, pleasant adventure, with some cool puzzle elements as well in there. There's a lot of fun to be had in this sort of game. It may not have enough action and excitement for some people, but hey, if this is your sort of game, then I think you'll really enjoy it. So if you're a big fan of puzzle adventures like me, why not take a look at this one? It looks like a really good quality one, for a really great price. Why not take a look? And hey, if you've never played a puzzle adventure before, then you could definitely start here. It looks like a pretty good quality one for a really good price. It's got high production values and great reviews, and there's even a PS5 version as well. At this sort of price, you can't ask for much more really. So if you always wanted to try this sort of game, why not start here? You might just find your new favourite genre. But if not, don't worry, there's plenty more games for you to choose from in this sale and future ones as well. We have a deck builder next, Super Bullet Break. It was released in 2022, so it's 3 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.59, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially for a niche genre you don't see many games from these days. In this deck builder, all online multiplayer games have been taken over by a rogue AI, and now you must gather a deck of bullets, cute and powerful anime girls who can win strategic battles to rescue the games and save the world. This game basically features gacha, but without the cost, which is really cool. That's the worst thing with gacha. Now, this is another anime game, so if you're not very familiar with anime, this may be a bit weird and strange to you. But hey, if it's your sort of thing, you might really like the look at this. You basically get to collect a load of cute and powerful anime characters and make a team of them to fight with strategic deck building gameplay in order to win fights, clear levels and areas, and then save the games and the world. This game is pretty niche, but hey, you'll know if it's for you, and if it is, it's a really good deal, and there'll be a load of content in this that you'll really love. So if that's you, definitely take a look at it. It's a cool game for the people that like this sort of thing. And hey, if you've never played a deck builder before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting here. Deck builder games are really cool, but you can get other ones and even AAA ones for not much more than this. And the key to this really is whether you're into anime, because the whole concept is very polarizing. Some people will love it, some people won't. And if it's your sort of thing, then go for it. This is a really good deal and it'll be a cool place for you to start. But if you're not into it, don't worry, there's plenty more games from this genre that don't have the anime story and gacha mechanics. And if that's the case, don't worry, keep up with the videos and you'll have more options to choose from in future videos. We have another puzzle adventure game next, Togues. It was released in 2022, so it's 3 years old, and it's on at least an 85% discount for the price of £2.39 or £1.59 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for an interesting little game. In this game you get to explore a number of colourful and gorgeously crafted worlds as you interact with the world in playful ways to solve puzzles and progress through the lands using colourful boxes known as Togues. It features 7 huge worlds to explore and very different and unique puzzling gameplay. My favourite thing about puzzle games in general is that most of them have a unique mechanic or gameplay to them which you don't see in other games, so even though you might play say 20 puzzle games in a year or something like that, they won't all be the same. It's not like playing an Elder Scrolls ripoff or another COD release. They're very distinct and they play very differently, which is really cool. The Togue puzzling and the worlds you explore along the way are what will be the selling point for this game. If you're a fan of puzzle adventures and you like cute little worlds to explore with unique puzzling mechanics, then you'll probably love this game and have a ton of fun with it. So if you like the sound of that, definitely take a look. I think you'll have a lot of fun if you like the sound of it. And hey, if you've never played a puzzle adventure before, then you could definitely start here. It's a very cool game and it's at a really low price as well. So if you've always wanted to try a puzzle adventure and you like the look of this one, definitely check it out. Now you do have a load of options in the puzzle genre, so if you're not quite sure about this one, don't worry, there's so many options, you'll find one that really interests you and you'll be better off starting with that instead. But don't worry, if you keep up with the videos, you won't miss them when they're on sale next. Up next is my Star by Weird West Definitive Edition. It was released in 2022, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the low price of £4.94, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially as this edition includes the PS4 and PS5 versions, with improved graphics and 60 FPS as well, which is really great. You're getting the best version of the game, and for both consoles. You can't ask for much more really. In this RPG, you get to play as a number of unusual characters in a fantasy Wild West world, infested with magic and monsters. It features a world that adapts to your decisions and actions, with tons of weapons to choose from, equipment and abilities to play with as well. And the world and story is supposed to move around you, based on your decisions, which sounds really cool as well. And in general, what I really like the look of with this game is the world. It's nice to see a new spin on the Wild West game, where they've mixed it with magic and monsters. It's pretty cool, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. This kind of reminds me of old school RPGs like Diablo or Baldur's Gate, or even Champions of Norath, but with a Wild West theme and with monsters and magic, which is very intriguing to me. I think if you like these sorts of top-down RPGs, this is a very different one, and the uniqueness of it will appeal to you if you like this sort of genre. So if you're interested in a top-down RPG and you're into the Wild West, then look at this one. It's a weird game, but it looks like a really cool one as well. Like I said, it's my star buy. It's well worth your time and money, I promise. So why not check it out? And hey, if you never played an RPG before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting here. If you're okay with the top-down old school sort of gameplay, and you really like the idea of it being in the Wild West with magic and monsters, then yeah, take a look at it. It's a really good game that's really good value. But if you want something a bit more modern, or with slightly different gameplay, or even a different theme than Wild West and magic and monsters, then there's so many options in the RPG genre that you'll have so many to choose from, and even massive legendary AAA ones for about the same price as this, or not much more as well. The world's your oyster really. If you're not particularly interested in this one, keep up with the videos, and you'll have a ton to choose from in the future instead. And the final game I have for you is Xenoraptor. It was released in 2019, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the low price of £1.79, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good price. In this twin-stick shooter, you get to pilot a ridiculously armed space dragon against an interstellar armada, stripping your defeated foes to assemble devastating new weapons, and it features intense bullet hell combat with 2-player local split-screen co-op as well. So if you like playing games with a friend or a family member, then this is a pretty good game for that, especially if you're both into the bullet hell twin-stick shooter genre. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with that. I don't see 2-player split-screen co-op in general with twin-stick shooters, so that's really cool. I think the last one I used to play like that was Smash TV, and I used to really like that on the Super Nintendo. That was a great game. It was really hard, but it was a great game. So all in all, if you want a sci-fi themed twin-stick shooter, then check this out. It looks really different and unique, it's got great reviews, and especially if you want a game that's co-op, which is really rare in this genre, then you should definitely check this out. It looks like a really cool game, and I think people who like this genre will have a lot of fun with it. So why not check it out if you like the sound of that? And hey, if you've never played a twin-stick shooter before, then you could definitely start here. It looks like a pretty decent game at a really low price, especially with the co-op and other unique features. You might have a lot more fun than some of the other ones that are available, so why not check it out if you like the look of it? And that's all the games I have for the PlayStation Indies PSN sale. What did you think of the games I picked? Did I pick good ones or did I pick bad ones? And what about the star buy? Did it deserve it? Or should some other game have got it instead? Leave all your comments below, and we can talk about it later. Anyway, I hope you found some cool games to play, but more importantly, I hope you saved a lot of money. I'll see you guys in the next sale. Au revoir.